appearance by Dee Kerr, paid for by Total Retirements.
Well, welcome back, everyone. It is Friday. You know what that means. It's time to live your best financial life. Our Keep the Change segment is all about helping you weave your way through questions on finance, retirement, and saving for the future. Of course, we have Dee Kerr of Total Retirement here with us. Dee, thank you for joining us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Dee is a certified financial planner and investment advisor. She's always here every Friday to answer your questions at home. And today's segment is some way of a continuation, somewhat of our discussion a couple weeks ago about estate planning. We learned that estate planning is a plan that provides direction and control of a person's assets before and after death. So share with us, Dee, what else can you do to make things easier of the people and the loved ones you leave behind?
Yes, and of course, Chris, you know, it is only human to avoid thinking about the loss of a loved one. And to add to the misery, there are a lot of decisions and actions to be taken if this were to happen. Now, all of whether you're married or not, all of the planning and organization you can have won't relieve the grief or the emotion that you can feel due to this loss. But you could relieve and simplify some of the added burden that losing someone can bring.
So what kind of steps do I need to take to make sure it is easier for those people that we're leaving behind?
Well, Chris, I would say the simplest thing, the easiest thing you can start with is getting your important documents together. Organize them, store them in a safe place, and then tell someone close to you where they can be found.
Absolutely, and we talk about those documents, organizing those documents. What kind of documents are we talking about here?
Well, you want to make sure that you're looking at your financial statements, things like your bank statements, your investment statements, even your loan documents. It could be your estate planning documents, so things like your last will and testament, your life insurance. It could be medical directives or a living will. And then finally, don't forget those the personal information, things like your social security card, birth certificates, even your passwords for your online accounts, marriage license, divorce agreements, and if you were in the military, you'd want to have your military discharge papers and veteran benefit statements available.
Absolutely, and of course, I know that you mention all the time, but an attorney could also give you exactly what you might need as well. But, you know, unfortunately, we don't want to think about it, but death can be expensive. So what else do I need to do to plan for what is obviously the inevitable?
Well, keep in mind that the minimum cost today, or they say the average cost, I think on the low end is for a funeral is between $7,000 and $9,000. So do you have the funds available to take care of this final expense should something happen? Now, you could have life insurance, or there are prepaid funeral plans available. Now, would that be something that would interest you?
And of course, that's a tough conversation to have, but it's an important one to have. You don't want to talk about your inevitable death, but it's so important to talk to someone, right, to have a plan in place.
Yes, absolutely. And at least, at the very least, let someone know what your wishes are for your final resting place. And you know, and then couples come up against too another difficulty. If you are married, they can sometimes have their assets tied up in probate. So the funds that they need to have available may not be there. So, you know, this is really a lot to think about. And of course, the list I gave you is not all inclusive. But begin by organizing those documents, just getting together important documents. Think about what it is that you would want to take care of your family so they're not left to pick up the pieces. Absolutely, some very sound advice. All right, Dee, thank you so much for joining us as you do every Friday. We appreciate your sound advice. That does it for our Keep the Change segment this morning. We'll be right back with more Texas Today after the break.